Good day once again to our next episode on Blended Family, and we are still on the blueprint of Blended Family, the things that we learn from families in the Bible. With me, I still have our guest from last week. You know me already, Mama G. And our guest, you can introduce yourself today.
Good afternoon, it's Sister Bonita again, and it's wonderful to speak on Blended. Families, I hope you will enjoy this topic also today, and it's good to see all of you again.
Yes, and today we are dealing with a quite interesting family, the family of Jacob. You know, Jacob, after running away from his parents, he went and stayed with his uncle, and when he was there, he saw this nice little girl. She was beautiful, and he fell in love with her, and he wanted to marry her. And the Bible says he told his uncle, I want this daughter of yours. He was told, you can work for 7 years. He worked for 7 years for sure. He got married. The night of the wedding came. Come the next morning, he was surprised. There comes Leah.
I remember that. There's so many questions around that one day when we go to heaven, we will ask our brother Jacob around that. He was maybe so in love and so happy that he didn't notice, but that was the reality.
And you know, when it comes to that, you know, a lot of questions that come to me, like me, I'll ask, how was their wedding those days that a person cannot realize to say, this is not my wife, and you know, those things. But what I got to know and understand was the way the ladies dressed those days. They would close their faces. So when you are a bride, you close even that part of the nose and the eyes, which was supposed to be left out. So when, like we do, we put the veils. So then they will put a veil to close even the eyes and the nose. So we can understand how he was easily cheated. But I am looking at a man who is in love, and he loves someone else, and he's cheated and given someone that he really doesn't want in his life. You know, I'm looking at situations where boys, they are growing. You know, most when our children, they are in love, sometimes we, as parents, we tell them abstinence, but most of them, they don't go through abstinence, and sometimes you end up pregnating the wrong person. You did not want that girl. You were looking forward to getting married to someone else, or you are a girl, your life has been played with, you are impregnated, but this person doesn't love you. So this is where we are just seeing the complex of blended family starting. So we are just introducing every aspect here. We are introducing how we end up having single parents, how we end up having these boys who have got children, and they don't even care about those children because he never loved that person from the beginning. So for him to leave that person, it's nothing because he never loved. So this is the situation that happens with Jacob and Leah. We hear that Jacob waited for another 7 years. So I am imagining Leah sitting in the house, waiting for a man who is showing her that I do not care about you. I am actually going to wait for another 7 years for this wife. That I really, the lover of my life. So we are already seeing the complex that comes in some situations where in a blended family, someone's life has just been played about. You thought it's a play, or you wanted to play a boy, you wanted to play a girl, you end up not doing abstinence, and there is a child coming, and that person, you don't love the person. So maybe we can just dwell a little bit there.
Thank you. You know, for historical reasons and social cultural context, I just want to mention because you have unpacked so much. You've unpacked that how we are experiencing life today and the dynamics around relationships. That firm foundations we had a generation ago is somehow not there anymore. So even during the time of Jacob, if we go back to his father, Isaac, and we remember how it happened that his father said, go and fetch a woman from our own that knows. He wanted to make sure, because there was such a lot resting on Isaac and the legacy and the promises of God, that his mate, his partner, his wife rested a lot rested on him in terms of the promises of God. And the reason why I want to mention this is because then in terms of the culture, it was an arranged marriage, it was relatives. So it was not a falling in love that happens. And also, he lost his mom, Rebecca. So when he brought the wife, he was comforted. And it was a matter of they married, he was comforted, and he loved her. So although he didn't know her, they were from the same cultural background, they had the same heritage, and then he grew to love her. Versus, as you pointed out, now where you fall in love, where you are besotted, where whatever that person portrays, the lifestyle, what they have, who they portray themselves to be, is what you love, and the consequences of that. So yes, Jacob now also seemed to have been from the traditional to he saw, he was enticed. Everything in him responded to this first love, or the love of his life. So immediately, when it comes to now, we have that in terms of the culture again, you don't marry off the second daughter. The first daughter had to be married. So he had to step back in terms of his expectations and adhere to the culture in which he found himself. And he did then obey to the rules of the culture. He did work those 7 years. And he did work another 7 years. And once again here, we see even how God honors. Because now there's a woman, and she in the husband's eyes is not the one. So God opens her womb, and she's children with each child. She says, oh, now my husband will love me more. Now because she knows she has competition.
Yes. So I like the fact that you put that competition starts. So competition started, I believe competition started even before Rachel came, because Leah is already feeling unwanted, and now actually the husband doesn't even lie. He is open. He tells him, you are not the one I love. I am working for. You know, there are such men like like Jacob, who cuts the heart of a woman straight up. I was just playing with you. You were never the one I meant to marry. So you are my second thought. I am just looking for the one that I love, you know. And there Leah is just sitting patiently and waiting. But as we go on with the story, we see that God opens the womb of Leah, as he said, and we see Leah having a lot of children, while the womb of Rachel, the loved one by the husband, is being closed. And then later on, just to rush in with the story so that we get to the facts, we see that Rachel later on gives only birth to 2 children. And because the father Jacob loved Rachel, he automatically loved the children of Rachel more. So besides the cultural thing, we are already seeing unfairness in the issue of how the children are treated. So we are looking at the stories here in blended families. We are looking at unfairness now, unfairness treatment in the children in the blended family. The other children are treated with better value than the other children. And a lot of people would say, my husband left me and he left his children also for good. He never thought about them, and I am looking after my children on my own. And sometimes you will be staying with the children, both of them together, but you will see that the treatment which is within the household, they are all staying together. You will see that there is a little bit of favoritism. It might be in clothes buying, in food. The other one is given preference in a lot better food, or even others are left to starvation. Other people, they do like that. So we are looking at this phase where we look into favoritism. Do you have any thoughts, any points on that one of favoritism in the family, and what are the effects of it?
Yes, I believe there's a grand rule in parenting, I mean, even in church, that you say don't have favors. And there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
It is a reason. On the other hand, it also means you have as a responsibility as a parent to know your child.
Mm-hmm.
So favoritism comes where you indiscriminately allocate resources to the child indiscriminately.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you invest even not money but time, compliments, and also take the child away from what the rest are experiencing because of what they mean to you. And that's the unfairness. So it's not just what the child and his brothers and sisters says, but what resonates in you when it comes to the child. Maybe you see yourself in the child. Or maybe you see that this is a child that represents most of the mother that you love. So in other words, in a sense, it's unfair towards that child because it also is not a representation of who the child and the abilities of the child themselves. Because immediately if that favorite child is there, that's the leverage against the siblings, and again from the siblings' side, that's the reason why they will isolate that child. So in other words, favoritism, first and foremost, reflects that there is an imbalance in how the parent distribute their resources in the family.
Okay, so you in other words, you are touching a fact where we are saying the moment you are in a blended family, the resources, meaning time, meaning the way you give attention, the way you are going to counsel, should be fairly distributed between the children. But now we are looking here, because remember, Jacob doesn't have only 2 children, it's 12. Can it possibly happen to love the 12 equally? And but what you're saying is actually the right thing. But the other thing that I get from here is, because the children saw that the father favored this one, it says they were rebellious. When they went out, they were killing some of the animals from their father and eat while they were there. So the moment we do not distribute this love equally, the moment we show favoritism, rebellious arise automatically. They might not rebel against each other, but against you, which means gradually Jacob was his business was going down, because we are looking at a father who has some businesses, and the children, because they are feeling that they are not fairly treated, they are misusing the things that their father has, because they are thinking, what will we get actually? Because that is what is in their mind. The father, after our hard work, he buys only the young son a coat. It's us who are working, we are going to tend for animals and what, and who gets the prize?
You see,
Only one person.
it's true. Again, looking at the cultural, how things happened, equal wife, he spent equal time with the wives. And then it's when it's in the context of the wife or the children, that's where the attention would happen. That's why I think Leah, Dinah, was saying to the one sister, give me this so that my husband comes this night to me. So in other words, before the children get the father or the husband is also subject to his interaction and the availability to the mother.
Mm.
So the father was never full-time involved day and night. A lot rested, and this is also in the Hebrew culture. The mother played a lot or had a big influence in teaching the children the Torah, the Hebrew Bible. The mother used to teach the children, the boys especially.
Mhm.
So in other words, the role of the mothers has an influence on the children's intellect, on their socialization, on how they will react to each other and to the father. So now the mother already has to compete with other wives.
So you are saying because she felt lack of love as a mother, she also could not extend it to the children. Then she left the children doing whatever. So I was speaking to one of my friends and was saying, you know what, the moment my husband shows me that he is favoring the other children, me with my children, we just tell ourselves we are here to chew the money. We are here, we don't care whatever is going to happen to the other children, but us now, our aim is to make sure that we eat as much as we can. So I'm looking at it to say, yes, as a woman, the moment you just don't feel loved in the family, there's already competition. He's loving this one. So the moment I have a chance to take from this man, so we are looking at competition within the women. Then we are looking at also at mistreating and misinformation to the children coming from the mother, actually, to say, okay, so this is what we want to do, your father doesn't care. But also the children would see, because remember the mother will say, can you give me the husband for today? Then you understand. So they also felt that their mother was not loved, their mother was not needed.
Oh, it's so sad because it was never the intention to have a man with many wives with creation. So the consequence, but other nations around Israel did it. So it became the norm in that time. I mean, today we know in this life it's almost impossible when it comes to finances to do this. I would say it's the circumstances and the way the mother now has to negotiate in terms of that resource, the husband, and what he has. But in all fairness, the resources was equally distributed between the women. So the amount of dresses, the amount of cows, the amount was equally distributed between the wives and the children. So yes, they would benefit. They would find that there is, in terms of the fact that Jacob was rich and well off, and we know how that story of how his lambs were much more than his father-in-law. So we know that he was a very, very rich man. The children benefited by it. They had servants working for them. So there wasn't that the children lacked anything, which is true what you say. Now they put their value and their reference, and in terms of what their father meant becomes much more tangible, on what they can get out of the situation. So the emotional attachment is not there. And look at the fact, they even sold their brother for money.
Yes, but before we even go, I want to look at the characteristics that just arises between the children. Because you see, the father is favoring the other children more than the other. We see now that because he's not giving much attention, and mind you, also the mother, we said, is not also giving much attention because she wants to be loved. She's looking to get attention from the husband, and therefore removing much attention of what she must do to the children. Then we see that the sister was a Dinah, who was raped by that nation. And remember, Levi and Simon said, "Oh, if you want to marry our sister, then you must circumcise yourself." We hear that Jacob was silent about it. He had agreed. He was just quiet. He actually did not care what was happening with the children of Leah. You understand? So sometimes I'm still on the passiveness of the fathers in terms of managing their family affairs when it comes to blended family, when it comes to preferring the children of your loved, of your one you are saying now, the love of my life, over the other one. Because now these children, we see some development of jealousy, we see there is rape case, the girl is just, we see murderers coming from the family. So there's a lot of things that comes in. When we say the moment a family is not in one accord, we say it affects the community, it affects the society. So we are just seeing the effect of it within Jacob's family now. We are seeing how it affected the community. We are seeing how it affected the neighbors, the neighboring countries, because they came to say they want their wife, and they were willing to pay it, because remember, the girl said, no, you cannot do that. In our culture, you cannot do that. It means you must marry me because you have already defiled me. And they were willing to do it. It's not like they did not. Of course, they were given that law to say, when you go into those countries, do not give your daughters and what. But it had already happened, which means they could have sorted it out and made sure that she gets married. But what do? They deceive, because they felt deceived.
Yes, the deception has been in this family from the first birthright. The deception, and then the deception because his sons deceived the perpetrators for Dinah's daughters. They deceived in making them think they can be joining with the nation of Israel, but it was under deception that they got them to circumcise, and at the weakest moment they slay them, murderers, as you say. So this deception, and I think in terms of the children and what the children learned and what the children were exposed to, it's almost you can get away with anything in terms of, as long as you see there's a benefit in it, but it wasn't the right thing to do. It was a good thing to revenge my sisters being dishonored, but it wasn't the right thing to do in terms of what is right before God.
So we are looking now at a family that is already disorganized in terms of discipline, in terms of what is it that they must do. So even when jealousy was growing in between the brothers, the father did not notice. Jacob noticed nothing. That is why if he had noticed to say, I have sown a seed of envy between my children, he was not going to send Joseph that time. But he was so passive. To him, he was correct. To him, he has a right to love Joseph more than anyone, because he loves the mother more than anyone. So So now these other children, they don't have a right to question whatever he's doing. So Joseph is left while the other brothers are working. Joseph ran with the food. And now when the brothers came, they said, this guy is the one who is taking our father's love. Remember, when you are in a blended family, you have brought the children together. The children already, they are looking, without you telling them, they are looking for attention from both families. So the moment you already show that you favor the other one, envy comes, jealousy comes, even that thought of killing comes if this person can die. So don't sow those seeds in families when we get into blended. So Jacob, not knowingly, he did sow those seeds in his children by his actions. So it's a challenge that we want to give to parents who are in blended family and as well as children. You know, when you are in a family, it's not a matter of who is loved more than who and who is given attention more than who. It's about all of you working together to build unity, to build love, to build understanding. So now Joseph is going there. They see him. They say, let's kill him. Because if we kill him, then we can take the attention of our father. So we are saying, parents, don't let your children kill each other in order to take your attention. Don't let them, one day when the other one is in the hospital, then you say, oh, I'm sorry. It will be too late already to solve those problems. So the moment you are in a blended family, just be careful.
Yeah, it's true. I think you describing passiveness of the father, but there is a disengagement, because how can you be intrinsically involved with the day-to-day aspects when you are the head of 4 households, 4 wives, 2 sisters, and their servants that all became your wives, 4 households. If we now honestly say 1 household, that's what we manage, and if there's more than 2 children, if it's 3 children, the activities of the children, their lives, you find it difficult to really blend and match and be there for everyone in terms of what they are doing. Now that's times 4 for the household of Jacob, and the dynamics of, as you say, or can we call it the pathology of having to compete for his attention, having to compete in terms of, which mother will get most of attention. He doesn't, if we think there are 7 days in a week, and then each night, certain time, each night, in the different wives' households. I mean, how do you keep track of conversations, of issues, etc.? It's impossible to be then the father to the child, to create that, what we would expect, that we have a father that is in sync with our daily needs. Fortunately, we have a heavenly Father that knows our everyday's need, but it's humanly impossible for the father to have part and partake in each of those children's lives equally, which is unfair towards the children. And now, as you said, and as you've mentioned, that the value to themselves they don't experience with their earthly father. That's why when they say, I wouldn't even notice, maybe we'll get a little bit more attention when one of them is out of the way. Maybe you will think, oh, I don't want to lose the others also. So the extremes then children have to go to get the attention of the parent.
And it's too much, they're going to extremes to a point where you must kill. So this was not the first killing attempt. We got another killing attempt of that nation. then we are going to a killing attempt now to their own brother. So if Jacob was very, very attentive to the characteristics of his children, he would have opened the eyes when they killed a nation, and he would have thought to say, will this one survive, my son? So he would have changed. So Jacob, in other words, when we are looking in blended families, he's representing those fathers who just make children from one wife to another. He has got one wife now, or he's now getting married to the 5th marriage. But on all these other 4 women, he has children. And these children, they are all looking for his attention. And now he has got this lovely Rachel that he's paying attention to, and the Josephs and the Benjamins who are in Rachel's house. And he has forgotten the Leah and the other 3 women that he left behind, who also have children who need attention of a father. So I'm just saying, when you are the Rachel and you are married to this Jacob, who has openly told you, I had the Leahs, I had the slaves, I had the servants, and they all have children for me. You must be prepared emotionally, because God is actually looking at you, that you will take responsibility of this other 10 children who are coming from these other women, so that you build the unity that God is looking at, and you build a one family that does not have divisions, jealousy, and envious things. So we are saying from the family of Jacob, it actually does. God is not God. I like the way God puts the things which matters in human life. So he is representing to say, you know what, in life there are going to be people who will not. It's not by choice that one thing. It was not by choice that Jacob got married to the 4 women. He loved Rachel from the beginning. So you might be the man. It was not maybe by choice that you ended up marrying this and leaving behind these 3. But we are saying, those children that you left behind, take care of them. You, Rachel, you have heard that your man had the Leahs behind. Take care of these children. God is looking up to you, Rachel, to be responsible, not to boast around to say, okay, you know what, Leah, you must ask me if you need attention of Jacob. You see, that is what was, because Leah would come and say, okay, I will give you this so that I can have the attention. So the children, they don't need to kill someone to get the attention of their father. So that's the other point that I'm getting. Then to rush it ahead, if you have other points you can put, I wanted us also to look into this family to say, we are saying it's a blueprint, but there was something fascinating that I just discovered about this family. The blended family, it's a blessed family. If you are in a blended, you are blessed. This thing that I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you ever thought about it, but when I was reading and contemplating and say, God, what is it? What is the mission of this blended? Then one thing came to me to say, you know what? We are talking of Jacob and the 12 sons. These 12 sons are coming from a blended family. But these same 12 children, they are the ones who we say, when we read in Revelation, the 12 names of the children of Jacob, they are there. The 12 gates, when we are saying 12 gates into the seat of heaven, we are talking of the children who came from a blended family. So when you are blended, you must know you are blended and blessed. That's another thing that just came to me, and it was fascinating to me, and I said, wow, if I'm blessed, it means I must live a blessed life. In the way I treat the children around me, in the way I treat my husband who has come to blend with me, in the way I treat his children who are blending with me, because I am blessed. If God made sure that from a blended family, he makes all nations to be, it's all nations, to be represented with them who are in a blended family. To say 12 gets in heaven, it's 12 children from a blended family.
Wonderful, it's really wonderful. That and the blessedness of how every nation, tribe and tongue meaning that the variety of the children, how they look so different, each unique, which also reflects how God created each one of us uniquely. That the value that each one had in those 12 tribes, the heaven wouldn't be without in heaven there will be people looking different like you and me and like everybody else on earth. The blessedness of this, but I also see the covenant of God, the covenant that He made, Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, in terms of the fathers of the faith, pointing towards when we will become the family with God in heaven one day, through, of course, sending the Messiah, and which we accept. So in other words, the family, the holding the family and the promises that stems from the covenant. We do our part, God does His part. So even in the mistakes, the 12, the different wives, the selfishness, it was all pushing to that promises, making sure the promises, because it's within this tribe, in this family, that ultimately the Messiah would come.
Wow.
Yes.
And what you are just saying, it's something else also. You are just saying the Messiah is coming from this family of blended. And we see with the unloved Leah, we are seeing a family of priests. We are seeing that's where we get Judah. So the Levites, we see the priesthood from Leah, and we see Judah from Leah, the unloved wife. So God is actually saying, I associate myself with everyone. So imagine if He would have come from a perfect family. How would they have treated the blended family? So from it, so we are building. We said last week we discussed to say from Abraham, we see a family of a husband who leaves his wife, and we see a husband, a partner who is married after death. And from this family now, we are learning that in blended families, there are families where they are, we can say, disorganized. It's a disorganized family where a man has been having children from different women, or a woman from different men. It's either then this man is now getting married to her Rachel, but we are saying this man and this Rachel must always remember the children behind, not to wait for them to what? To fight. But also I love the character of Joseph. He is coming from a woman who is loved, a woman who is honored, and he is loved. He does not hold it as if it's his, because even after his brother sold him, we see forgiveness coming from his. He did not need to forgive because these were not his mother's sons.
So yes, again, even looking at if it wasn't the father's faith, the father installing the values of goodness, righteousness, faithfulness to God, that wouldn't have translated through. So it was, in terms of the passiveness, there was also a role and an example that the father had to portray.
But he was portraying it to one child.
Yeah, I can't go into that now. Hence, it's true, but he was that's the tragedy, that's the devastation. I wanted to bring in how God remains faithful, because when he came into that trial and tribulation circumstances, what did he say? What did he preach?
But you see, on this issue that you are talking about, Jacob doesn't really learn, because after Joseph's death, we hear that he clings to Benjamin. He still clings to the children of his loved wife. When the brothers came and said they want Benjamin, he did not want to let him go. He was the only one, the only child of his loved one. So in other words, men must really stand for all their children. Even if women, we hear there are other women, they leave their children also behind. Stand, as a parent, stand for your children, stand for their rights. They need the love of their parents as much as the current one needs your love. Also the previous children, they need that love. But Joseph teaches us to say, even if as parents we fail, you children, you can learn from Joseph. You can learn to still love each other. Even while least we are discordant as parents, we are teaching you to say, don't worry about your father's children. You know what women we do. They are not good. They are not what. You as a child, take it as your own point to say, I will connect with my father's children. I will do my best to make sure that we build that bridge. It doesn't have to be parents only working to unite you as children, but you as children, learn from Joseph. Because even after Jacob died, remember the brothers were saying, now our father has died. I think Joseph will now punish us. He tells them, no, don't worry. It was not because of my father, but it's because me, in my heart, I intended to make sure. And we hear that after that, they lived in harmony. They learned their lesson. So don't learn your lesson after so much tragedy. As children, don't wait for your parents. As children, now I'm talking to children, don't wait for parents. Make it your point. You build that relationship between you two. As parents, we might fail. There are a lot of things that are going around in parents' mind and in their hearts, but children, you can still make a change.
True. And those 12 children, imagine ending up being the inheritance of the world, being the blessing to the world, eh? So yes, so Jacob had a very important role in terms of blessing to the world. Very soon after this, with the famine, that he was set up. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes, it's wonderful.
Yes, how God sets up.
So in ending, you know what, Jacob just led. I'm just coming to say, you know, Jacob, on the time of blessing, Jacob also took and blessed the two children of Joseph. Jacob. I don't know what to say to these Jacobs.
There are many Jacobs around.
There are many Jacobs around, you know. He is not still learning his lessons. He is still going and blessing the two children of Joseph, still at his old age. Anyway, for this one we are ending, and we are saying, you know, we learn a lot from the story of Jacob when it comes to blended family, when it comes to father's role, when it comes to women and their fighting, the cat fighting, the cat and dog fighting, because the husband now has moved to Rachel, and Leah and others have been left behind. Yes, Leah, you have been left behind, it's okay, but train your children. Don't leave them passively. Thank you. What is your last words to the guests today?
I would say don't dare to be a Jacob today.
Okay, thank you.